After 2 months sleeping on that upper bunk in the county jail, Linda's happy homecoming soon crashed into reality. Days later, the former mayor had to register as a sex offender, a requirement of her plea deal.
Anytime there's a change of address, you have to report that.
Also, as part of that plea deal, Linda could no longer be in her own home when there were children around who were not her own.
So when your kids had friends over,
I would leave.
because you had to,
Yes.
this meant sometimes sleeping in the basement of your store.
Yes.
And when you were doing that, did you think, how did I get myself into this position?
One bad decision has led to this just collapse of my life changed drastically.
Unable to attend her own children's events without a court-approved supervisor with her, this was Linda's new normal, watching Carly's swim meets from her car.
Go get him, Carly!
It's not fair. It's a lot of restricting and like unnecessary things.
And when she traveled with her husband to an out-of-town swim meet, what they didn't realize was that Linda was crossing county lines, a violation of her parole. Even though she was there with her loyal husband, there to see their daughter, someone reported her to police.
They came into my work and put me in handcuffs and took me to jail because I went to my daughter's swim meet.
And what was that like?
Horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
What do you say to the parents out there who say she should go near kids after what happened?
I think everybody's got their skeletons, and most people just are lucky enough to not have theirs be public.
But Linda's skeletons were now exacting a price on her husband, the high school principal. Because he drove her to that swim meet, he was being punished too.
And they told him he had to leave the job.
They put him on administrative leave and did a full-on investigation
Because you went to the swim
because
meet.
I went to the swim meet.
So he was paying a price too.
Yes. He was devastated.
And yet again, Linda would be sent back to jail for crossing that county line. Another 12 days behind bars, and she was assigned community service.
What did you do?
I cleaned a church.
Were you praying while you were in that church?
I do a lot of praying in and out of church. I did a lot of thinking.
After the praying, all of the thinking, a year would go by before all of those restrictions were lifted after being labeled a sex offender. But just when Linda thought she was in the clear and could go back to her children's games, the Prosser School District informed her that they changed the rules. Now just one of only 2 school districts in the entire state of Washington barring any convicted sex offender, regardless of the offense, from stepping foot on school property without written permission. Linda says that change was because of her. But tonight, the school telling 2020 the timing was purely coincidental. All of this taking a toll on this parent, while at home, the ordeal taking a toll on her marriage, too.
You and your husband were struggling.
Yeah, it's been a long couple years.
Linda had decided the time had come to move out.
A lot of people were stunned by how supportive he was of you during the whole thing.
Yeah, I think he believed in me.
When the marriage fell apart, what did he say?
I think he told me that decision would be the saddest day of his life.
So he still loved you.
I believe he did.
But the marriage was over. And tonight, Linda Lusk has a new man by her side, a much younger one.
You were watching 2020.
Adam Canary was watching our first report on the Linda Lusk case.
Except she was a town mayor.
He says he felt sorry for the entire family, reaching out at first to her husband with an email asking if he could talk to Linda. She remembers their first call.
I just felt like there was a lot of empathy and understanding.
And how old was he?
28 at the time.
And how old were you?
Oh, 50? Well, 51, I guess, yeah.
Was there any part of you that thought, oh no, this is another young man, much younger than me?
You know, his age didn't make a difference to me.
Already friends, Linda says after her marriage dissolved, it soon turned into something more.
What would you say to those people who watched your husband be so supportive of you. You were with him 17 years, and within a few months, you were already with someone new.
You know, people can judge it and say what they want, but as long as we're happy, really, shouldn't that be what matters in the end?
What was it about what you saw that made you think, I want to reach out to this woman?
It was that look in her eye. I mean, my heart broke for everything she had to go through. I felt that our feelings, our emotions, our passions just linked up.
We just had an immediate connection where I felt like, you know what, I think this person's going to be my friend. He was very supportive, had a lot of empathy for what I'd been through, especially with my son.
Empathy, because Adam too had lost a child, a connection they say so powerful that Adam left his wife and 3-year-old daughter behind in New Jersey, moving to Washington State to be with Linda.
You too.
Do you struggle with that as a dad, having left your little girl to move to live with Linda?
I don't struggle with a decision. I struggle with the distance. One way or another, I wasn't going to be there 24/7 after we were separated prior to this.
And to people who might say you chose Linda over being near your little girl?
I'm always there for my daughter, and she probably won't understand until she's much older anyway.
To me, he was my best friend, and he's Adam. He wasn't an age. And I think there's such a double standard in this society. If I was dating somebody 20 years older, nobody would care. And men date younger women all the time, and nobody cares.
But a lot of people looking at this would say it's not just that. It's that you had that incident with a teenage boy who was much younger.
He manipulated his way into my home. I wish I would have handled it different. But I did not seek out some young boy.
You don't think she was at all responsible?
No.
He was a teenager.
To this day, I think people make their decisions. I think there are moments where you want to go back, but the level of remorse and apology she had to endure didn't justify what actually happened.
But a lot of people say she was the adult, he was the teenager, she was the mother.
But I know her heart. I know what her intentions were. I know what her intentions are now. And all I can do is support her.
But will Linda Lusk's children support him? And one last battle, barred from school grounds, what Linda says she's willing to do to see her daughter graduate at the end of this senior year.
Even if I get arrested, I am going to my daughter's graduation.